Hello, and welcome back to the Awakening Philosophy Podcast. My name is Jed. How are you all doing? Now, we are reading this book that bangs so hard. Is it all relative? So we're examining the common belief of our society, one used to defend belief itself. Hey, don't question the existence of religion, or the existence of conservatism, or the existence of capitalism, because, hey, they don't have any understanding or expertise, but they have their beliefs. And surely there's no problem with beliefs, right? Like, everyone's entitled to their beliefs. And who are you to say something is true or false, or good or bad, or harmful? Who are you? You're not the king of me. What are you, some sort of Nazi dictator to say that some things are bad and some things are good? Or what if it's my perspective that it's actually good, actually? And that's my belief. Aren't I entitled to it? Because everything is relative to personal perspective. Hey, you have your experiences. Hasn't that just tainted your experience? Or tainted your perspective and informed your opinions and beliefs? And if we all have perspective, no one can jump outside of their body or mind or brain and see the real world, then everything is just a matter of perspective and belief. Or, if something seems true, then it is true, to whomever it seems so. This is the belief that we're examining, very common one, used to defend, of course, tyranny and injustice within our society. It's my belief that we deserve to murder the Palestinians. It's my belief that billionaires should exist and some people should starve to death. Right? I can't demonstrate that with understanding, proof, evidence, reason. It's not a universal principle. I'm not saying everyone should be billionaires. That's impossible. That would be wealth equality. I'm saying I get to be a billionaire and you get to starve to death. Which is, of course, how belief works. Belief base is based on an authority figure and an in-group that is identified with that belief. We are the Christians, we are the MAGA, we are the billionaires, we are the Epstein class. And they have a rule that works for them, and different rules that work for others. So, perhaps the most common belief of our age? Also, potentially the most dangerous. Well, we've explained already several reasons why it's dangerous, but it is the class of belief that's defined in opposition to understanding. The thing that we need to address problems, that we need to apprehend principles, universal principles that can be applied universally to universally benefit, and of course our purpose as human beings. We exist through time, in which if we relate to universal principles or truth through time, we can do so step by step, called reason. That's understanding. That's also the highest functioning we have as human beings in time. So if you wanted to know what's the purpose of a pruning knife, well, what does it do that's specific to it and its highest function? It prunes things. What do we have as our highest function that's unique to us and the highest reach of our evolution? Ousia and logos, the capacity for self-reflection, and to do so through language or reason. And dialogue, of course. We are describing the dialectic. So our intended function and purpose is the dialectic, which is the skill, or, because it's a skill that benefits, the art of understanding. So, in attempting to understand the belief of is it all relative, and beliefs themselves, because This understanding could be applied to any belief as you explore and examine it. And of course, this is the big papa because it's the belief that saves belief itself. In understanding it, not just saying, well, it must be true because it seems so, that's it. Watch TV, or go to war, or go to work for the capitalists. Don't think. One step, notice one step of reasoning. It seems so, so it is so. So that's how belief functions. It tries to stop you from reasoning more than one step. Brown person bad. Immigrant bad. Billionaire good. Capitalism good. Socialism bad. Belief good. Books bad. One step, each of them. So instead of going from one step, or staying on one step, it seems so, so it is so, to, well, that's what we're learning, isn't it? How do we learn the steps of reasoning and practice following them, while at the same time, not just perfecting our own highest functioning and purpose, dialectic or understanding, but purifying any false beliefs that we may have. Because like it or not, you're influenced by this belief. It's behind the Abrahamic religions. It's used to justify tyranny, beliefs. So we are influenced by it. So it's important that we purify it because, as we read in the text, if we sufficiently understand a belief, we can it dissolves or dissipates like the morning mist. That's called healing. Now, some people say, well, isn't that psychotherapy? Yes, that would be the model of psychotherapy. Modern psychotherapy lacks a model, so they borrow from medicine. A list of physical ailments you have to explain your problems. Problems of the mind or psyche or belief. You're a this or you're a that. You're a ADHD or you're a schizophrenic. Or now, of course, what we are learning is, well, this would be the model of psychotherapy that it currently lacks. So, what is it? The use of dialectic to examine the beliefs that we carry, or the use of understanding to understand our beliefs. And when we reach sufficient understanding, it dissolves. So the problems caused by the beliefs that we carry, the limiting negative beliefs, and of course, well, this belief limits our participation in understanding and dialectic, because why do philosophy? Why do dialectic? Why understand? If there's no truth, it's all relative to personal opinions, there's no point. You're wasting your time. So blocking limiting beliefs. Now, of course, we have our own false beliefs about ourselves. I'm not good enough to do it. I'm a small bean. I'm a bad noodle. I'm not good enough. Or my mind isn't good enough. Or I'm a sinner. Or I'm a woman, so the Bible says I'm less than men. Or society tells me that I'm less than men, etc., etc. So we all have these limiting false beliefs about ourselves. This one being representative of the main one, or the most universal. And with the use of the dialectic to sufficiently understand it, its causes and its functioning, we dissolve that belief's influence over ourselves. And because we've done so with understanding and not taking a bunch of drugs, well, pharmaceuticals, then we can pass it on to others. Because understanding means, well, if somebody says, well, what convinced you of this? Or what helped you in this way? They'll say, oh, we're so delighted that you asked us. Because you're giving me an opportunity to test and practice my understanding. And of course, we saw last time that if you understand something, you can have fun exploring the implications, or testing the implications of something opposed to it to show how absurd it is. Hey, If truth is just relative to perspective, then a pig and a goat and you can all have the same perception of something, then you're just as wise as a pig. Ha 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 ha. So we can have fun with it, we can test our understanding, which is what we're here to do, which is the purpose of relationships, of course. Not to debate your own beliefs and opinions and further entrench yourself in them through that debate, or live out the tragic implications of those beliefs in relationships. No, to test your understanding of your highest vision or experience of self and reality, to test our understanding through dialogue and a nice coffee. Cheers. So, last time we reflected on the dialogue. Now there are two characters, Aaliyah and what seems to be her boyfriend, Harry. And those two talk to Joseph, who seems to be the dialectician here. He's leading the dialectic. Harry started the conversation trying to defend his position, but he ended up being unable to proceed and needing to run away, which is of course how belief functions as well. If belief is dissipated by understanding, as we said, that would be true psychotherapy. Then, for a belief to protect itself, it has to stop you from doing dialectic. So the most important and necessary and the purpose of our lives as human beings thing, the dialectic, is the thing most opposed by the human condition. Blind, unsuspected loyalty to false beliefs blind loyalty to unsuspected, unexamined false beliefs we carry from childhood, including it's all relative. Everyone's entitled to their own beliefs. So there's a kind of a catch-22 here. The thing we most want, dialectic, the thing we most benefit from, dialectic, because hey, everyone wants to know themselves. Everyone wants to understand themselves. Everyone wants to understand reality. Everyone wants to reach their highest excellence. Everyone wants to remove their problems. Literally everyone wants this. The rub, get M. Night Shyamalan on the phone, because the wicked twist is that thing we all want and need and benefit from, and also we need as a species if we want to save ourselves from the extinction that we face if we allow belief to continue to rule. That thing we all want, we fight the most against. Because we don't have beliefs. Beliefs have us. That's the human condition. That's the war on mind that we're in. The human war is a war on mind, fought by belief opposed to understanding. So we saw that demonstrated by Harry, who seemed to fancy himself a bit of a debate bro. Debate pervert. Seems to think he knows what philosophy is. And of course, in my experience, as someone who's been trying to share this for a very long time, the people who fight back the quickest and the hardest are people who consider themselves philosophers. Now we can understand why that very thing we're talking about, belief or opinions, is called doxia in Greek. Socrates says, hey, those academics who call themselves philosophers, they're not philosophers. They're the opposite. They're philodoxias. They're lovers of opinions. So we can understand, of course, people who have identified with a lover of opinion, they're like collecting a bunch of opinions, Nietzsche's opinions, Spinoza's opinions, Hegel's opinions, Kant's opinions, the Bible's opinions, the Koran's opinions, and using those opinions to justify their own opinions. That's what they think life's about. And Harry has demonstrated this already in the book. Hey, the best thing you can do is justify your beliefs. Or, if you're even more clever, you can change your beliefs to fit the authority figures who are currently in power. When in Rome, do as the Romans do. Why? Because that will allow you to get the things that you desire. And isn't that the highest good? To meet our physical pleasures in the physical world? So it's of course that people who think of themselves as philosophers, or think they know what philosophy is, are the ones who are most, well, dicks.
How can you be this stupid? How is it legal? How is it legal?
How is it legal that they're this stupid? They are the ones that fight back the hardest against what benefits them. And that's important for us to recognize, because we are not just benefiting by Joseph being a... Is it Joseph? Yeah. Being a dialectician and philosopher, and helping us purify our own beliefs by following along as we identify with the person he's talking to, Harry or Aaliyah. We're also trying to understand the mind of Joseph himself, because it's that very principle we explored a little bit yesterday, the principle of congruence. Things that are like the same thing are like each other. It's that principle we're using to understand the mind of Joseph and become like philosophers ourselves, dialecticians ourselves. We want to think in the way that Joseph thinks, because that's our purpose. So if Joseph is like a Socrates, someone who's reached the excellence of the dialectic, and we are like Joseph, then that principle mentioned in the book, congruence, means that we are also like Socrates. If A is equal to B, and C is equal to B, then C is also equal to what B is equal to. C is equal to A. That's an axiom, or a principle that you can't prove in the physical world, but you need to not believe, but understand the necessity for, to participate in the game. In other words, if you don't believe that principle, accept that principle, you can't do basic math. You can't do anything in the world. If you learnt that a stop sign in your driver's exam equals stop, and then you're driving your car and you see a new stop sign, you have to use that principle. Oh, that stop sign is like the stop sign in my book, and the stop sign in my book means stop my car. Therefore, this new stop sign also means stop my car. Congruence is the name of that principle. Congruence? Yep. Wait. Let me just check. Yes, congruence. Axiom of likeness or sameness. So we want to become dialecticians ourselves. That's our highest function. That's what we need to solve our problems, to dialectically reflect on the beliefs that we have, our problems, see its solution by seeing its cause and understanding its functioning and its effects, dissolving its power over us, and freeing us more to do what we're here to do. More understanding, but also allowing us to apply that dialectic to understand our peak experiences, which is, of course, happy and bliss and insightful and knowing. All the stuff we want and makes us most happy and successful and fulfilled and, well, successful in a spiritual sense. So, super important book, a right banger. And yesterday we took the dialogue between Joseph and Aaliyah, and wondered and asked the question: do we have enough to use that to use what we've read? And by the way, if we need to take more than one step, if truth isn't just perception, you perceive something and now you know it, we have to do another step. So we're taking our perception of the text and doing that extra step, organizing it into the dialectic, which is learning the skill of understanding itself. In chat, somebody's quoting the Bible. So the exact opposite of what we are talking about here. So, Mr. Jacob, Mr. Grotes, right. So you are expressing personal beliefs and opinions that you have. No one cares about beliefs and opinions. I don't think even you care about your own beliefs and opinions. I think you're just modeling somebody who seemed smart, who quoted the Bible, and now you think you can be smart by quoting the Bible. But the thing about beliefs is they don't help anyone. Like, you can't believe your way into flying a plane, can you? You can't believe your way into fixing a computer. You have to understand how a computer works. Wouldn't you agree? You have to understand how to fly a plane. Wouldn't you agree? So what we are trying to do is ask the question, why do we love beliefs so much? Not all the time, not when it matters. Like, you wouldn't want your pilot to be saying, I'm a pilot. Oh, really? What's your qualification? Oh, I just believe some holy book. Someone found a book under a rock. You'd say, no, arrest this man, put him in jail. I don't want someone flying my plane based on beliefs. I demand understanding. Now, what we have seen in the book that we're reading together is, when push comes to shove, like when it's an important or urgent situation, if you were actually listening to what I'm saying and answering my questions, you would say, right, I wouldn't want my pilot to be functioning on belief. I would want him to actually understand how a plane actually works. And when I break my arm, I'm not going to go to some priest to fix my arm. Or rabbi. Would you go to some imam? Or some rabbi? Or some Mormon preacher to fix your broken arm? Or would you go straight to a doctor? Even if they say, well, I believe I can fix your arm. I believe it. You would laugh at them, or you would push them away and go straight to a doctor. Now, what Harry's demonstrated is, okay. If someone isn't so stupid enough that they can answer these basic questions and reflect. Now notice, a little bit of reflection is still too much for someone who's raised in belief traditions. So even a little bit of self-reflection makes you better than most, which is interesting and kind of horrific about our species as well. They would say, actually, okay, for medicine and for flying a plane and for science and for math, okay, we don't want beliefs. Beliefs are just going to cause problems, crash planes. But in terms of ethics and morality, that can be belief. That can be you not understanding why something is true, but just saying it's true because someone told you when you were little. That's okay. Or someone appears to be wise because they're wearing a robe, or they've got a big hat, or they're reading from an old book or interpreting from an old book. That's why we allow belief in politics and religion. Because surely no harm comes from politicians and no harm has come from religious officials. Oh no, wait. Extreme, horrific harm has come from both. Only it takes more than one step of reflection. Some people say, well, yeah, an extremist who literally blows themselves up and yells Allah, that's bad. But a religious official who tells a child, oh no, you're less than men because the Bible says so, and you're a woman, that surely wouldn't do harm. I mean, I don't see the woman exploding or telling a child you have to do what Donald Trump says, otherwise you burn in hell for eternity because the Bible says so, or because my preacher told me the Bible says so. That's how belief works. I don't see them exploding straight away. It takes a couple of steps of reasoning to realize, oh, those regular religious folks who are reason based on belief or think based on belief can be manipulated by their preacher to vote for Donald Trump. One extra step. Donald Trump can just say, even though I'm an actor with no expertise and well known for having terrible, terrible problems, I can just pretend to be a politician. And so long as everyone's entitled to their beliefs, there's no difference from somebody believing they're a politician. Isn't that what we said? In the realm of politics, it can be belief. Someone believing they have expertise and someone actually understanding how to help people and organize society in alignment with the logos or the principles of reality. One more step. Oh, and now he's murdering people. He's doing a genocide in Palestine. He's setting up concentration camps for people who criticize him. He's stealing billions and billions of dollars. He has a Nazi Gestapo police shooting American citizens in the street. He's defunding all healthcare and human services. See? That's kind of worse than one person crashing one plane. That might kill a few hundred people. This person's killing millions of people. Only it takes 3 steps of reasoning. Belief opposes reasoning. You can't have those 3 steps. That's too many. Priest says something, or our friend in chat, Bible says something. Well, they don't read the text themselves because that requires some skill of reading. My preacher or imam says it, that's it. So we're learning how to reclaim our freedom and our own intellectual capacity from the root cause of all human problems, and then one step later, all human injustice, and then one step later, all human suffering, causing the pages of human history to be soaked in blood. What's that root cause? Belief. And what is it? It's not what we have, it has us, because we want understanding. We enjoy a fixed computer. We like when our plane can be landed. We appreciate when a doctor can fix our broken arm. We would love universal principles applied universally to benefit everyone universally, with universal wealth equality, universal income, universal healthcare, universal education. No one wants, well, other than the most ignorant, wants a special class that gets to treat everyone like crap with no repercussions, the Epstein billionaire class. So we all want our good and to remove what's bad, but beliefs specifically function to prevent that. It prevents reasoned reflection following several steps. There's only one step, which is why we allow belief to exist in religion or in politics, and of course within capitalism. So we don't have it, it has us. That's the nature of belief. And we're seeing this play out in a dialogue where Harry comes to that admission. Yeah, science you need understanding, I suppose, and same with math, but not in ethics or morality or politics or religion. And then eventually when he's pushed to it, he admits, here's the thing. If what you say is true, that there is a difference between understanding and belief, I don't know who I would be anymore. I don't know what I would do. That's the thing. Our loyalty to our own ignorance and harm is because we identify with it. We have to be courageous enough to be willing to let it go and follow the logos. Follow truth rather than hold tight to ignorance. To follow truth is the dialectic. In a conversation, you follow the dialectician. In reality, you seek to see the inherent logos in every moment and you follow it to where it leads, leading to certain states of flow and excellence that we explored in the last book that we read, in the ox herding pictures of Zen Buddhism, and also the states of justice or excellence. So he dipped, ran behind his girlfriend. Hey Aaliyah, you do the conversation. I don't think I have the courage to let go of my beliefs and my identity. Aaliyah said, okay, I'll play. And she had a lot of fun. And she begins by saying, I'll follow where you lead. Or where reason leads, really. So Aaliyah was able to actually be honest and represent this belief in beliefs well. And last time, we took our reading of that, our perception, and we took one more step. Because remember, the whole premise is expertise or knowing isn't just perception. If you perceive a Chinese manuscript, you don't know Chinese now. Wait, that extra step involved us organizing or arranging those terms from the text within a structure that we can practice, repeat, remember, and use for our own benefit or in conversations with our friends over coffee. Cheers. So, and in the dialogue, it led to a conclusion where Aaliyah was able to conclude about the nature of belief and this one in particular. Harry didn't like it and tried to, and of course, as we're seeing, our friend in the chat wasn't able to answer one question, not one. All he did was repeat or imitate beliefs he has heard from someone else. They have to leave, distract, make personal attacks. To distract, oh, don't talk about the conversation, talk about you suck. Undermine reason or logic itself. Oh, logic is just used by debate bros to trick people. I mean, they do use it that way, but not logic itself, not reason itself. Silence the conversation, which of course is the whole reason why Aaliyah is so interested. She said, I've had a lot of great conversations with people, but then some jabroni comes in and says, but isn't that just your opinion? And isn't everyone entitled to their own opinion? And then everyone just ends up silent. Oh, okay. Well, I guess there's no meaning in anything and we should all just shut up. Thanks, Bill. I'm so glad we invited the It's All Relative guy to the party. So silencing the dialectic. And of course, what we saw Harry do, to justify it, you interpret. So what do the Israelis say about the Palestinians to justify the genocide? Oh, they think their intention. They create a fantasy about their intentions rather than addressing the facts and reason itself. They hate the Jews, they're anti-Semitic. We can tell they think that. What do the Americans use to justify murdering innocent Iranian people? Triple tapping a girls' primary school in Iran? They're thinking about making nuclear weapons. So again, it's bullshit and it's infuriating, but that's the point. They want to start a fight because fighting is the abandonment of the intelligible, of the good of reason. That's why it's all war. It's all conflict. It's all us versus them. Conservatives versus the woke. Jews versus the Goyim. Christians versus the Muslims. It's all us versus them. It's all conflict. Why? Because conflict distracts and silences reason and the dialectic. That's, as we say, that's the nature of human problems. One word: belief. Opposing dialectic. So 3 words. And we saw that demonstrated in our book. Harry said, I bet that's what you wanted all along, Aaliyah, to humiliate me with Joseph. I keep saying Joseph. I keep missing the EP in Joseph. Joseph, not Josh. I bet that's what you wanted. And if that's what you wanted, that fantasy I've just invented, like Hamas wants to do this. Hamas wants to do this. What do the Americans always say? Oh, the socialists want to hate freedom. Yes, that's what they want. They want to hate freedom. Bullshit. It's all lies to justify violence, because belief cannot stand reason, evidence, rationality, understanding, intelligibility. Everything good about intelligence is blocked by the human condition, loyalty and identity to belief. Because when you're little, guess what? We allow kids to be raised by parents. You know what parents don't have? Expertise. What do they have? Imitations of beliefs and appearances from their own parents. They also have complete impunity to do whatever the fuck they want to their kids, and the kids are stuck there. So the beliefs that we develop and the perils and fear of non-belief, the learnt fear of reason and understanding, is a survival mechanism or a solution to a problem of the way we allow children to be raised in our species currently. So it's not a blame game. It's a solution that no longer applies. So it has to silence the conversation, like our friend in chat, just annoying everyone by vomiting dumb, false beliefs that nobody asked for. And then when asked a question, run away. Or start a fight. And a good way of starting a fight is being unjust yourself. Like, think of any racist. They'll see like let's say a racist against black person. Oh, black person, you're like this, you're like this, you're like this, until annoys them so much he turns around and clocks them. See? A self-fulfilling prophecy. So for example, a current belief that's causing havoc in our species are the Jewish belief. We are the chosen people, and we are chosen because we are victims, and no one gets it, and everyone victimizes us, but we're selected by God. So they do a genocide, and everyone says, hey, that's horrific. See? All we did was a little genocide, and then you're victimizing me. Cry bullies. Notice they always say that they are the biggest victims while they're doing a genocide. I mean, that's kind of a trope. Like, we understand this because we have comedians who explore this idea, which is the role of comedy in our species. Jerry Seinfeld, George Costanza, and Larry David. Perpetually complaining, perpetually being a victim, while perpetually being unpleasant. That's the whole thing. That's the whole series of Curb Your Enthusiasm. Like the most cliche Jewish joke. I can't remember what they are, but I see them like when I see these Jewish comedians on like Norm Macdonald's talk show. Oh, this was a literal thing. Like Jerry Seinfeld said to Norm, you can tell when someone understands Jewish comedy. Like two what do you say? What's the joke? Two Jewish businessmen meet each other for lunch. One goes, how's your day going? And the other one goes, oh, pretty good. That's the whole joke. And Norm's sidekick character, what's his name? Adam? I think Adam. He laughed, but then Norm's like, do you get the joke? And he goes, no, not really. And Jerry explained, well, if they're Jewish, they wouldn't say everything's fine or okay. They'd have something to complain about. Another one is, two Jewish people are having a lunch, and one guy goes, this meal is horrible, this food is horrible. And the other one goes, yeah, and the portions are really small too. The joke being, why would you want a bigger serving of bad food? But the punchline is, yeah, we all recognize that's our cultural belief and religious belief as well, that we learn in childhood with these cultural and religious beliefs supporting our family beliefs that we identify with, so much so that we can see that it's absurd. So that's how you can have fun with the absurdity of false beliefs. So we can see the relevance, not just understanding our own beliefs and how they function to prevent us from doing our intended purpose, reading these sorts of things together, reflecting the way we do, practicing the dialectic on these texts, number one, on the beliefs that come up to undermine our excellence. I'm a small bean, I'm a bad noodle, I'm not good enough, I'm a sinner, I'm a whatever. So that the dialectic applied to our false beliefs has a specific name. It's called philosophical midwifery. Examining the root of the one that you have to purify yourself. And third, the dialectic, or learning to read without interpretation your dreams. So I've been encouraging people through the series to apply anything they've learned about how we read here, or the dialectic method or structure. Practice it on your dreams, because that way you'll unlock messages that can personally benefit you, and you're learning to read, and you're learning the dialectic. It's a win-win.
It's a win-win-win-win-win-win-win.
It's a win-win-win-win-win.
It's a win-win-win.
Win-win-win. And of course, the dialectic has 4 parts. Sharing it. Write your own dialogues. Write a sequel to this book. What problems are surfaced that aren't fully addressed, and what would be needed to address them? Have dialogues with your friends over coffee. Any of these dialectics, if it's true, while our friend in chat just quoted some personal religious bullshit, that's his personal belief, no one cares. It's not going to be true tomorrow or in a million years, but the things explored with dialectic are always true for everyone, for always. So it's a kind of learning you can take with you wherever you go, including beyond this reincarnation. Meaning, if we take time to learn it and practice it here, but you can use it with all of your friends. Hey, buy me a coffee, I'll run you through this dialectic. And if they're a good friend, they'll say, sure. I benefit you by giving you coffee, and you benefit me by helping my soul and mind. It's a win-win.
It's a win-win.
And then you have another friend, hey, you buy me coffee tomorrow. And they'll say the same thing, and you'll say,
I'm joy maxing, okay? And if I
Hubba. I just want more testosterone to human body ratio, and I'll finally be satisfied.
calm down, Emma. Hopefully your friends won't be gooning as hard as Emma just was.
Goon.
and they'll say something like,
I guess UFOs might be Jesus.
okay, hopefully they won't say that UFOs might be Jesus. Hopefully they'll say,
I have a sickness for the thickness.
yes, they have a sickness for the thickness of making themselves better through the dialectic. And they'll buy you a coffee. Oh, we're not going well with our sound drops today. My sound drops are random. That's why it's fun. Right?
Do a poggers.
Thank you. See, sometimes we hit. All right, so we're practicing it because we can use it forever and with anyone. And let's jump in and have a look at what we've got so far. So, everything is from the text. All we're doing is arranging it within a structure. Now, we did something special last time. We took the four stages of the dialectic, and we did a dialectic within them. And we ended up with 4 different kinds or styles of dialectic that you can use in different instances. So, the first category is definition. So this gave us the standard. Definition, demonstration, division, conclusion. Now, of course, this isn't exhaustive. You can do your own. That's the point. This is an example. So it's all relative belief. What can you say about it itself? Either describing it itself or the principles or causes that are required for it to be as it is. So for example, if we were asking a question about beauty, for beauty to exist, what kind of universe must that be? We're not talking about how beauty functions, but just for beauty to be. There has to be certain principles or preconditions for beauty to exist eternally, beyond an opinion. So what's interesting about beliefs, and this one as well, you can't participate in universal principles because beliefs are based on physical perceptions. Universal principles are non-physical. They can only be reached by mind, and as the Oracle tells us,
people don't logic their way into stupid positions, they stupid their way into stupid positions.
They stupid their way into stupid positions. So it's not through reason or direct apprehension of non-physical level of reality. It's physical beliefs, physical appearances. So by definition, belief can't relate to universal principles. And this first dialectic also gives us the different categories to judge whether or not something is true that the conversation went through. So what Joseph asked Aaliyah was, hey, this idea that if it seems true, it is true. Does that apply to everyone? Well, it claims to. What if someone says, well, it seems to me that your position is wrong? Is that true? No, can't be true. So the only people who can agree with you, well, only people who this principle applies to are people who agree with you. One rule for me, one rule for thee. And just like a politician or a religious official or a capitalist CEO, all that ends up is they end up surrounded by yes men. Always. Isn't that wild that we allow this to exist? The rulers and leaders of our society to exist within a circle of people who just agree with all of their bullshit. Why? Because that's the standard of wisdom. I think everything, anybody can judge truth. You don't have to be an expert, says a CEO, says a bishop, says a conservative politician. It's just what if it seems true to you, then it is true. It's common down home, out back common sense that I learnt from my grandpappy, and he told his pappy, and I just think that American people need to have common sense. Dangammit. So again, these people pretend to be, put on characters and use accents that are lies to appeal to the common sense of the voters. So why is that? Well, if you agree with me that everything is perception, or beliefs are okay, then that's fine. You're all wise. If you disagree, I need to kick you out, because that would destroy my position. It can't be universal. Because if it seems true to someone that this whole position, it's all relative, is bollocks, then it's all relative means they're equally true. They're equally capable of judging. So you can only judge if you agree. So therefore, what we saw was proving that a belief is false, or so we are talking about beliefs because we're addressing a kind of belief that is the saving belief of beliefs. So by talking to the granddaddy of all beliefs, you could apply it to any belief. So if you want to explore the validity of any belief, can it be used as a universal principle? If not, it can't be true. Because true means universally true. So that's how you can explore an idea. We also looked at the map that we've been developing and realized, not only does this specific class of belief, it's all relative, the belief behind the Abrahamic religions as well. Not only is this wrong or untrue, the one that's defined by an opposition to understanding, but all beliefs cannot participate in universal principles, because our map of the cognitive functions we go through, image, thinking, beliefs, understanding, knowing, our job is to cross the line, the green line, from ignorance, the cause of all human problems, the personal, to wisdom, human excellence, which is transpersonal or universal. So moving from the physical world of appearances or becoming to the world of mind or being. And because it's being and it's transpersonal, we can represent that with the gods. So that's the personification of this would be theology. That's something we discovered in our last book. So if you're curious about understanding what true theology is, check out Socrates and Jesus, A Dialogue in Heaven on this channel. So, in principle, there's specific belief, but beliefs themselves cannot participate in universal principles. So that should be enough for human beings to say, well then, beliefs are shit. We shouldn't do beliefs. So anyone who says we're entitled to our personal beliefs, we should find psychiatrists for these people. They're talking crazy. If someone said, I'm entitled to cancer, I'm entitled to vomiting every day, I'm entitled to poisoning myself, we'd say that's crazy. That's not something you're entitled to because it's bad. Who the hell convinced you that cancer is a good thing, that you are defending your right to cancer? It's like the MAGA conservatives. Build the data centers that give us cancer. Surveil us, poison our water, steal all the electricity, bombard us with pollution and noise pollution. We're entitled to be abused. Doesn't make sense. So that should be enough. But we keep going. So beliefs in principle can't participate in universal principles, and therefore ignorance. And by the way, if you're talking about universal principles, it's hard to find someone to murder or fight, because you'd have to kill everyone, including you. Because transpersonal or universal means everyone. There is no billionaire Epstein class and 99% of slaves being abused and exploited. There is no Jews that are the chosen people and Palestinians that all have to be tortured and murdered and genocided. There is no conservative special class. Again, yes, it's the same Epstein billionaire class. They're religious and conservative. No conservative class that gets to enjoy life while everyone else has to be their servants, who can't afford rent or can never own their own house, while conservatives can own all of the houses that they'll never live in. Doesn't make sense if it's universal. Therefore, that should be enough for people to recognize beliefs are bad. But we keep going. So by definition, it can't participate in universal principles. How does it demonstrate itself? So again, it's the definition of it's all relative as a stand-in for any belief or beliefs themselves. Circular. So it uses circular logic. And if you find something uses circular logic, our friend in chat, I believe this stuff in the Bible. Why? Because everything in the Bible is true. Who told you that? The Bible told me that. Then why do you believe that thing the Bible said? Because the Bible is true. What makes you think the Bible is true? Because the Bible says so. But why do you believe what the Bible says? Because the Bible is true. But why do you think? See, circular. Goes around in a circle. And again, you can have fun with that. You can use analogies. If you want to tell some jokes or have fun with your friends. Everything in Harry Potter is true. Why? Because I read Harry Potter, and J.K. Rowling said at the beginning, this is a true story of real events that happened.
You're a wizard, Harry.
You're a wizard, Harry.
I'm looking for some. You're a wizard, Harry. You're a wizard, Harry.
You're a wizard, Harry. So we're seeing, talking about the thing itself or the principles required for the thing to exist by definition, how that defined thing demonstrates or functions. And again, two ways of determining whether or not something's true or false, and also ways of having fun. Division, that functioning, how does it apply to different divisions or areas? So use two ways of doing this. Pretend it is true and see what happens in the divisions, or pretend it isn't true and see what happens. One of these will lead to absurdities that will show that it can't be true, so the other side can be true. So we're taking the idea of let's pretend it is true. If it leads to absurdities, it shows that it isn't, and the opposite is true. The other thing is true. So again, a third way of testing whether or not a belief is real or not. So this is where Aaliyah and Joseph had fun. Aaliyah and Jose. We'll say Joey. Joe. We'll call him Joe. Yeah, Joe's short for Joseph. Joseph was just something I made up.
Don't be disgusting.
I'm sorry.
You're a baby. You're a little baby.
Oh no. Well, if everything is a matter of perception, personal perception, then at dusk, when the sun looks like it's moving out of the sky, it's really falling, and we should alert NASA. When people walk away, it's your perception. It appears to you, it seems like they're getting smaller. They really are. So anyone who walks away, you want to be a Alpha Max bro, and you want to be tall so you can mog and get the bitches, just move really close to someone and it looks like you're bigger. Save you having to do bone smashing.
Why can't these guys shut up, whether or not it's about Jesus?
Why can't the looks maxers shut up?
Fucking bitch, pussy ass fucker.
Oh my goodness. Calm down.
Please end kink shaming on your show.
Okay. I will in the future. So hey, doesn't it look like the sun moves around the Earth? So the geocentric model of the universe is true. Hey, if knowledge is based on perception... Oh shit. Hold. Okay, so... Hey, if you can't perceive your beloved, then when the lights go out, how will you know her? How will you know how to relate to her? If knowledge is perception... So that's what we had fun with. So absurdities follow. It's a way of using the dialectic to demonstrate truth or to see the truth of something. What would be the conclusion of this? Of no expertise. If everything is perceptions, and the future, this is another thing that came up in the dialogue to show the absurdity, then anything in the future you can't make any claims about. Let's make this a bit more clear. If everything is perception, perception is in the present. I remember Ricky Gervais on The Late Show with Stephen Colbert, and he was saying, look, religion is crazy, and Stephen Colbert is very proud of being a whatever Catholic, whatever version of Catholic he is. And Ricky Gervais said, well, hang on a second, if we destroyed all the mathematics and science books, can you imagine in 1,000 years they'd reinvent them or they'd rediscover them? If we burnt all the religious books, do you think anyone would ever write a book with Noah and Adam and Eve and all that shit? And he goes, yeah, you're right. Didn't change his mind though. Because reasoned reflection is only the first step. That's just truth. Apprehending truth isn't the whole game. As we've been talking about, the human conflict or the human problem is our opposition to truth via belief, or as the Oracle says,
Where's the joy? Where's the personality maxing required?
No.
The problem is that you can't reason someone out of a position that they didn't reason themselves into.
So because, yeah, we'll keep going because we'll see later that belief opposes reason. So perception is in the present, which means no future prediction. Of course, you can have fun with this. Hey, didn't Paul say that the rapture would happen in his lifetime? That wasn't a very good prediction. Hey, every generation, don't all Christians say, well, isn't there a whole bunch of wacko Christians, not wacko, regular Christians who say the same thing? They're not very good at making predictions. Hey, all of the things that the conservatives do that cause irreparable harm, could that have been easily predicted by someone who wasn't just a belief-based person? Capitalism. Is that sustainable? Oh, but Elon believes it is. He believes that he's the special boy and should have all of the things. Predictions. Which means no expertise, because expertise requires being able to predict what will happen. A doctor has to predict that this prescription will have an effect. The pilot has to say, well, we need a certain amount of petrol or fuel Otherwise, we won't get to Los Angeles. Expertise. Which leads to, as a conclusion, so this was another argument, a brief one. Can you make predictions about the future if perception is in the present? And as a result of this, and this step here, what's the conclusion of not being able to predict the future? Danger or catastrophes. So this is the basic, within the definition, this is a basic model of how the dialectic works. Definition, what about it or its principles? How does it function? Division, if we take that functioning and we apply it, and what is the inevitable, what happens at the end? And each one of those gives us an argument as to why something is true or false. If you can't participate in universal principles, it ain't a true hypothesis or theory. If it's circular logic, can't be true. It's garbage. Absurdities result. Again, garbage. Can't make predictions of the future leading to, or if the result of following it is danger or catastrophes, it ain't true. Pretty neat? I think it's neat.
I'm cute. Like,
I love this guy.
Thank you.
I'm eating the testicles of this bowl, and I'm eating it raw.
No, don't eat the testicles.
Bull testicles. Bull testicles.
Okay. So how does that function? That's the next thing. From demonstration to, that was a definition to demonstration. And this was an example of a mini dialectic because you can take the first two categories, definition and demonstration. Like in our reading, we gain the definition or the reasoning about the things themselves, or self to self, and then we make these maps and talk about it with our friends. We function. That and by the way, this also refers to wisdom, understanding and experience. Oh, and also reasoning itself. Reasoning and evidence. Logos and ousia. Understanding and experience. It's those two things together. So these two things that are the standard of truth in reasoning, reason and evidence, the standard of wisdom, logos and ousia, or understanding and knowing of the realm of mind, that's wisdom, that's our peak experience. We've already got this above the line here. If ignorance is beliefs and the image thinking that it generates, that is personal and ignorance. But it's also a reflection below the green line of wisdom, which is the whole isn't beliefs, it's knowing, and the parts or activity is an image thinking, it's understanding. So see how those two things are symmetrical? That's the principle of structural similarity within reality. So, experience, the peak experience is nous or knowing, or ousia. Ousia describes that it's mind turning around to know itself. And the peak reasoning is dianoia, or the logos, or the dialectic. So that's why it's the called wisdom. It's our peak. It's our highest. And if you're in a relationship with someone, as I guess we are here, you can reach higher and higher peak experiences and perfecting understanding to facilitate them. We're on a journey of wisdom. Stretch. So for functioning, you take what you've defined. So we were just defining just the idea of itself. And you take what you've defined itself and you pick another. So the self is the subject, other is something that you pick. So what's while we're examining belief, what's a relevant other that we could rub it up against to see how it functions? How about understanding? What's understanding? Those two things, evidence and reason. Experience and reason. So how does it's all relative or belief relate to evidence? Oh, it doesn't. It keeps changing the evidence to suit its beliefs. Hey, this thing didn't happen. But we pretend it does. Or let's not talk about that. Let's use a different evidence. Moving the goalposts. We talked and the example was rapture. Jesus was supposed to come back and solve all human problems with magical belief. And Jesus and angels killing the demons in our souls in Paul's lifetime 2,000 years ago. And instead of realizing, oh shit, the evidence proved that it wasn't true, instead of changing their beliefs, they change the evidence. That's how belief works. Changes evidence. We call that moving the goalposts. So that's by definition, and the example was the rapture was supposed to happen 2,000 years ago, but every year you'll have someone saying, as our friend in chat, but the Bible tells me blah 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 blah. So that's for evidence. What about reason? Well, definition. How does it relate to reason by definition? Blocks it, sabotages it, silences it, or distracts from it. As Harry's trying to do. When Aaliyah invites him to enter the conversation again, I'll do it later. Or, let's talk about your qualifications or something. Or, hey, shut up, everything is a matter of opinion, so just don't do anything. Remain a slave to your problems your whole life. And in society, remain a slave to the worst human beings exist in existence. Just shut up. What do we see? Hey, no politics or religion in this stream. No talk of politics and religion at the dinner table. It's impolite to question the beliefs that rule us and our society. Silence. Sabotage, blocking. Do we have an example of that or a demonstration? Harry leaves the conversation. Harry says don't trust him, personal attacks. Harry says don't trust logic, logos attacks. Us versus them reframing. Hey, you're on my team, Aaliyah, says Harry. Competition. Yeah, same thing. And eventually fighting. The last resort of believers to fight back against the very thing they want, they need, they benefit from, that is necessary and is the literal meaning of their incarnation in life. Fight it. Now, while these, in the definition, we got 4 kinds of things to use to test if an idea or a belief is true or not. Circular logic, universal principles, absurdities, or conclude whether or not it can predict the future or results in catastrophes. But here we have, because this part of the dialectic's about demonstration or how it functions, these are different things that can help us identify someone in a belief. So this is all about the belief itself, definition. This is how someone demonstrates or functions through a belief. How can you tell whether or not you're in a state of mind where you're trapped by your problem that you're supposed to be surfacing and reflecting upon? Which means in a good relationship, a dialectical or a logos-loving relationship, whenever you're having a conflict or a fight, or having personal attacks, or silencing conversation, the things that are usually the bad things in relationships that can end relationships, if your relationship is built on the logos, every single one of them can be profound, beneficial nuggets of gold. Because if you have this dialectic about the functioning of belief in your back pocket, so good thing we're taking some time to nail it down, Oh, hang on a second. This is just the functioning of belief. And because we don't have beliefs, belief have us. Fantastic. I'm not going to take this personal attack literally or take it actually personally. I'm going to be open and curious about what it is saying analogically about a belief that must be behind it. And good thing I'm in a logos loving relationship. I'm with someone with a good heart and a good head who also loves understanding, because instead of just playing out the drama of a conflict that we learned from our parents, who learned from their parents all the way back to cavemen days, like a fucking slave, like an NPC zombie, instead of getting stuck in that relationship that most people are in, we can mine this for gold. We can turn our regular conversation or regular dialectic into a midwifery dialectic. We can go from exploring truth to exploring the false. That's the two things we do as people. We explore the truth of our highest vision and understanding, or we develop a higher vision and understanding of our false beliefs that cause our problems. We want the good things, we want to remove the bad things. We want to perfect, we want to purify. We want to excellence of wisdom, and we want removal of ignorance. That's the two things that we do. So having this dialectic in your back pocket in relationships means you can turn a potential catastrophe or disaster, dun dun dun, into a potential insight into your problem and development and growth and illumination. It's a win-win.
Win-win-win-win-win.
Win-win-win-win-win. Why? Well, hey, let's say this thing that was supposed to be proof of your belief was supposed to happen, but didn't, and you suddenly change the goalpost. Instead of saying, "Oh, you're changing the goalpost. You always do this. Oh, I hate when you do this. You're just like your father," and blah blah blah, and we should blah blah. Instead of that, oh, goalposts. What? Oh, you're changing the evidence. Did I? Oh yeah, that proof. You've changed it. Instead of changing the belief behind it. Why? What do you mean why? Why would you be precious about a belief of all things? Don't you want to know the truth? About whatever we're talking about the meaning of your life, about what you are, about why you're here, where you were before you were born, what happens when you die, your highest reach of your mind, or the nature of yourself? Don't you want to know the truth about everything? Isn't that the primary force within our soul that motivates our outward movement? Where's that one? Where is it? Yeah. Right, the three fundamental forces that we call the soul. We have a mind that seeks reason and understanding by bringing things into a oneness. We have a belly. It's not the belly, it's a metaphor, but we have an inward desire for what's good or our goodness. But when we do things in the world, don't we seek truth? Reminder, oneness, truth, and goodness. If it's a principle for all people, it's universal. So the standard for politics and spirituality must be a mastery and understanding of these, the soul. And of course, how to reach the goal that soul seeks. How do we reach oneness within our soul and species? How do we reach truth within our soul and species? How do we reach goodness? Because these three words, mind. That peak experience, oh, it was a oneness. Oh, yeah, neat, that's called mind. But it was the truth of reality. I had never experienced anything more real. Oh yeah, great. But it was beautiful, it was just. Oh yeah, these are goodnesses? Yes, it was the biggest goodness. Congratulations, you reached mind, or being, or beauty itself. The next step is to understand it, use it as a model against your beliefs in the act of purifying your beliefs, and also wonder about its cause, or the same sorts of questions that led to that peak experience. Can we ask a similar set of questions about the cause of even that peak experience. So in your relationship, hey, don't you want truth? Of course. Not only do I want it, I know everyone wants it because it's a principle of our soul. Which is why beliefs are a problem, because it gets you to defend that bullshit belief that you love and think is real, instead of actual truth. Beliefs work against our own motivation. Beliefs are anti-human, anti-life. Life seeks these things. Humans have evolved to the level of life where we can reclaim ourselves from beliefs, but also gives us an ability to create. So beliefs are a human creation. Only we're doing it poorly. Should be creating works of understanding. So you're in a relationship and you move the goalposts and your partner says, oh, moving the goalposts. So what? You do that too. Your father just does that all the time. And I hate you for it. No. Listen to what I'm saying. You move the goalposts. What does that mean? Remember that dialectic we did on Is It All Relative? Episode 8 of that series? Oh, it's a message. It's a message that I am trying to save a belief as opposed to using that evidence to find truth. That's called sickness. That's the sickness. Someone mentioned earlier psychotherapy. This would be what psychotherapy is for. Not what we call psychotherapy in our modern realm, the dialectic, midwifery. Oh, you are changing the goalpost, therefore you're a narcissist. That's what modern psychotherapy would say. Bull fucking shit. It means you've got a belief, that's what we're here for. Do a dialectic on it, do midwifery. No, I think you should not address the cause and just give yourself a label that implies physical sickness. You've got multiple personality disorder, you're a narcissist, you're an ADHD, whatever. That's the difference. That's the medical model. It's not the model of mind. We're learning the mind. So, you're moving the goalposts, my dear. Oh, thank you for pointing that out. I didn't even realize, because the beliefs protect itself by creating blind spots and projecting what isn't there. I projected that you were just trying to fight me by pointing that out. Good thing we follow the logos and not the beliefs that control our soul until we purify them. Or I asked you something and instead of addressing the logos of the question, you did personal attacks. Or you said the logos itself is bad. Or you said that's not what our team says. Or you tried to start a fight. The worst of all. Can you see how relationships have this all of the time? They either lead to one of two things, the end of the relationship, or both people tolerating it and spending the psychic energy stimulated from their relationship to further entrench themselves in that problem.
I'm a debate pervert
And I have an axiomatic
of the Bible.
Debate stuff, the opposite of dialectic. So what? So if we can remember that the definition and, the demonstration is just so we have examples of it, but by definition, belief changes the evidence instead of changing the belief, and by definition, beliefs block, sabotage, silence, or distract from reason instead of following the logos, the literal purpose of human existence, to follow the logos. So not relating to evidence and reason, the things we use for understanding. The functioning of what we defined. So while this gives us things to explore arguments themselves, the argument itself by its definition, this mini dialectic gives us what we need to look for signs or tells that we are operating or functioning with the belief. This is the human part. The first part, definition, was the truth. The second dialectic on demonstration is the humanness. You need both. You need the truth and the humanness, the definition and the demonstration. which is the dialectic of this one. Notice we only have definition demonstration. That's a kind of dialectic. Truth and humanness. Logos and experience, or ousia. Reason and evidence. Head and heart. Isn't that neat? I think it's neat. And if it seems true to me, then it is true that it's neat. Seems to me that it's neat, so it is neat. And you have to agree, otherwise you're not on my team, and I will fight you. So isn't that neat? I mean, I just asked that. Yes, it is. The answer is...
I'm joy maxing, okay? And if I aura mog you because I'm joy maxing so hard, that just sounds like your cortisol levels are spiking for no reason.
Hopefully you're joy maxed by this.
Everything this guy does is perfect and beautiful.
Thank you.
And he's handsome. I said it.
I'm glad that you're saying.
I'm too pure.
Emma would be too pure to say it, so I'm glad that you're saying it. So, definition, the thing itself, how it functions to something. We pick reason and evidence. Division. What are the divisions of understanding, or the divisions of reason and evidence? Or how does that functioning to another, reason and evidence, so other to another other. So the dialectic is the two most primary ideas of reality. For there to be anything, there has to be some sort of original subject or self. And for there to be any experience or creation, there has to create some other. So even before we get to ideas of, well, all the ideas would go under those two categories. One and many. Whole and parts. Same and different. Notice, these are all unfolding or diminishing reflections of these two most primary terms, self and other. And notice when we talk about our ultimate goal, to know the self, or the ultimate goal beyond the oneness, truth, beyond the truth, goodness, and oneness of mind, its cause, the true. So those three aspects of our soul that seeks our excellence also not only motivates us to cross the green line, as we are seeing in the dialogue currently, but maybe if Aaliyah can reach wisdom, Joe can ask her similar questions about that wisdom experience to reach the ultimate thing we seek. Don't we seek truth? What if we not only seek truth, but the true? Do we seek goodness of mind? For there to be goodness as an adjective to describe this. Notice we're talking about principles. Talk about we are physical experiences of beauty and justice, experienced in images that we derive our beliefs from, but we want the universal, beauty itself. So from the adjective to the noun, the descriptor to the substantive. Can we do the same thing about mind? Once we reach the substantive, beauty itself, justice itself, the truth, goodness and oneness, the true, the good, and what's the cause of oneness? The one. Which would be the descriptors for the self. So why are we talking about that? Well, isn't it interesting that we talked about desiring goodness, outwardly seeking truth, but using reasoning to bring things into a oneness. I understand a duck because I can see the wings and the beak and the bread eating, and bring it to a oneness and slap a name on it, slap a word on it that brings all of those ideas into a oneness. That's part of the dialectic as well, the conclusion, naming it. Isn't it interesting that when giving an understanding of the self, Parmenides, Socrates' teacher, calls it the one self. We can see here. Where were we? Oh, we deleted it. We were exploring a second ago. The idea that the dialectic is using the most primary ideas, self and other. You think about that, don't just believe me. Why would these be the two most primary building blocks of experience, creation, understanding, reason, thought? We saw it diminish into different ideas like one and many. You need the idea of one and many for there to be whole and parts, because parts are a kind of many. And a whole is bringing not a one, but a oneness. You need to look at the thing as a whole to talk about whether it's the same as something else or some different many thing. Does that different many, the other thing from one of the many things, does it have different parts to make it different? So we've already talked about these being the terms we use. So we've been learning today the dialectic structure, but the terms within the dialectic, we've been seeing that they have categories over here. So those primary descriptive words that also relate to what we seek with our soul, oneness, goodness, and truth, have members on their team. You could think of them as the captain of the team. LeBron James is oneness. And he has the pairs, whole, part, same, different. These are the things that we are talking about to explore ideas. Because we're also looking for, not just in the dialectic, but is Joe using these to organize and direct the conversation as a whole? The things that we desire, goodness, beauty, justice, benefit, excellence, they're within the idea of goodness. And for you to use the idea of truth, you have to presume there has to be, for you to say, oh, is it true what you said? You require the idea of true and false. Is it true that you parked my car outside, or is it false? You recognize that the true is the greater thing and the false is the lesser. Or the true is the model that the artist uses, and the copy is a lesser version. So greater and lesser applies to true and false, or model and copy. So it's more primary. But for there to be a true and false, that you can judge that statement as true and that statement as false, there has to be a principle for you to, the axiom that you have to use to play the game. If you don't think there is any such thing as truth, you can't make true and false statements. That's the principle. So greater, lesser, and ultimate, or greater, lesser, and principle. Which of course, lesser, greater, and ultimate, the terms used exploring ideas within the category of truth. So these are the self-logos terms that we use in the dialectic structure to explore ideas and reach truth. Why are we talking about that? Because the dialectic takes the highest, most primary terms, which have those stages of unfolding or diminishment. Pew, pew, pew. and arranges them in all of its possible ways. Self to itself, self to other to other, and then other back to self. That's the dialectic. The entire use of the two most primary terms to explore an idea. That's the art we're here to do.
Of human beings.
Right?
If you don't know, now you know.
And now you know.
Off the perky, call me Kirky.
Now we're all off the perky. Cool, all of us Kirky. Right, Emma?
Hubba hubba. I just want more testosterone to human body ratio, and I'll finally be satisfied.
You're such a goon.
Goon, 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 goon.
If you want more testosterone, you should eat
Bull testicles. Bull testicles.
bull test. So, we've got the other over here, understanding how the self functions to understanding. How does that understanding relate to other others? So what do we want to pick? So again, it's your dialectic. You can pick any other of the other others. How does the belief relate to people? How does it relate to governance? How does it relate to relationships? So you pick any one. We picked reason and evidence of understanding. Now in the division stage, you take that thing you picked, that functioning, and you apply it to other others. So other to other others, or another other. So we picked proving truth because that's the game that we're in the book. How do we prove the truth of something, including the truth of the belief? It's all relative to belief. So if you're in conflict with reason and evidence, which was our conclusion back here, conflict. Now again, you could take the mini dialectic and expand it out to include division and conclusion, but we are demonstrating a mini dialectic. It's one of the forms. So how does belief, which functions in opposition to evidence and reason, relate to truth? It can't prove itself or anything else true. That's what we saw. We've seen this. We're reviewing the dialogue. Can you use it to prove it true? No, you can't. All you can say is it seems true. And if someone says, well, it seems to me it's not true, you can't decide who's right or who's wrong. Which means you can't also prove itself or anything else false. If it seems true to you, then it's, well, is it true? What if you disagree? You can't prove the own belief or anyone functioning at the level of belief or it's all relative can't prove anything true or false. You also can't improve or surpass itself. You can't go beyond Buddha. You can't go beyond Jesus. You can't go beyond Muhammad. That would require you to understand what is true about his level of vision and understanding, according to the model we have on board of the logos. What is false? Where did he miss the mark? Not, he's a sinner, so we should burn him in hell, but missing the mark. So you could either improve on where he reached in terms of truth, or improved on where he reached in removing what's false, or removing the problems or interpretations or beliefs that he had and going beyond. Absolutely necessary, because all of these religious figures had problems. Famously, Jesus only reached a glimpse into wisdom and then got right into his beliefs. Claimed to be Elijah, claimed to be king of the Jews, all that stuff, causing his crucifixion for treason. And in the last book we read, we were able to, there's Socrates and Jesus, a dialogue in heaven. They explored this. And we were able to identify the level of enlightenment Jesus reached and how there were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 or 5 higher levels, and then another set of 1, 2, 3, 4. There were all these other higher stages of enlightenment he failed to reach. because many people have a glimpse of reality and they think that's it. They don't go through the work that we are doing here of learning, understanding, and purifying beliefs. They write a book and they call it 10 Rules for Life, or whatever Eckhart Tolle wrote about. I can't remember that book. So long ago since I read it. Started their own little group. This is how you become enlightened like me. So you can't improve or surpass it. Now this we use to explore definition, demonstration, division in terms of true, false, and both. There's another use of the dialectic. Because within any of these things, when you're defining something, you can say things that are true about it, things that are false about it, or both. Because both shows you the limit. In some instances, this thing is true, but in some instances, it's not. And of course, we applied it to what we are doing here, the very meaning of life, the purpose. For the dialectic can be applied to reading the texts, as we're doing here, addressing our own personal false beliefs, which might be in the book. If Harry recognized he's been blocked by this belief and he can't reason his way out of it.
The problem is that you can't reason someone out of a position that they didn't reason themselves into.
Then he could jump into this, or this could be the sequel that you do. Removing what's false is called midwifery. Your dreams give you information about both. And of course, the fourth aspect of the dialectic, sharing it. So, if belief, and it's all relative, can't relate to evidence and reason, it can't prove itself or anything else true, it can't prove it false, and you can't get rid of it, you can't improve on anything. You are stuck as a stupid slave at the whims of some fascist dictator. You can't improve or surpass. Hey, try and do that. And we talked about that last time. Go to some Jesus church or picnic or whatever and say, hey, I really like what Jesus said about this and this and this. This other stuff was wrong, and here's how you can see it for yourself. So here is how we can improve on Jesus. See how happy they are that you said that you can go beyond Jesus, and everyone should. Go to a Buddhist monastery or a Taoist zendo or a Hindu ashram and say that you're going beyond their belief-based figures and see what they say. And I say that sarcastically, but also not. Because everyone matters. Everyone's here for a reason. Even someone who really loves their Buddhist beliefs still has problems and will still inflict it on whoever listens to them. Their kids, their employees, can still be manipulated by authority figures to support some war or some oppressive system. But they matter. So even the people in the zendo, even the people in the ashram, even the people in the mosque, everyone matters. So ideally, the ideal of humanity would be to say, hey, you can go beyond these figures that you are told is so much better than you, and you should cower and kneel and worship them. That is a standard. Now the joke part of it is, it's hard to do. Well, I have found it hard to do so far. And because all human beings develop beliefs from childhood, and as we say, so long as you have, well, if you are still being ruled by belief, as most people are, because it requires midwifery and dialectic, or requires courage and character, So it requires midwifery and dialectic and dream analysis to remove your specific beliefs, but it requires, even prior to that, courage and character, a good heart and a good head to be even open to listening. Fuck all people listen, which is wild to me. That's confused me ever since I was little. Everyone wants good things, then why don't they listen to what allows you to reach those good things? Because their idea of good is being a Noah or cosplaying a Noah. Their idea of cosplaying a Noah, looking like a Noah, as our friend in chat, quoting all the shit that his preacher quoted or his dad quoted to him. Their idea, their belief that that is the highest good is so restricting and all-encompassing that the actual good things they fight back against. I don't want that ice cream. I want to be a poison eater like my daddy before him and his daddy before him. So, that rant was just to point out that it's difficult and absurd, which is why some people call Earth Hades. We are upside down. We act against our own interests. That's the human condition. We are ruled by the worst of us and not the best of us. We give billions and billions of dollars to the worst genociders and scammers, Trumps and Netanyahus of the world, and we give nothing to the philosophers of the world. Opposites. But it isn't ideal. So if you can demonstrate a way of going beyond the key figures of belief in any of those traditions, great. And share your success here, why not? Join the Discord. Celebrate your success. So, as a conclusion, you can't prove anything true, you can't prove anything false, you can't improve or surpass. Therefore, now this is to demonstrate this dialectic is to demonstrate the true, false, and both principle within the dialectic, but also the two aspects of conclusion. Synthesis, you take this and you synthesize a key idea. So what are all these forms of? Judgment. And as a result of the synthesis, you apply it. So while definition is the subject in relation to itself, demonstration is how it functions to another, divisions of how that other functions to other others, conclusion is to synthesize another from that as a result of going through that reflection and learning, and to relate that synthesized other back to the self. That relation back to the self in what's most meaningful to that subject is called analysis. So that's to demonstrate that the conclusion step has two aspects to it: synthesis and analysis. So our synthesis, lots of thumbs up. Why? Because my hand is on my booty.
I'm joy maxing, okay? And if I aura mog you because I'm joy maxing so hard,
All checks out.
Then it all checks out.
Hubba hubba. I just want
Emma.
more testosterone to human body
She
ratio,
always does.
and I'll finally be satisfied.
But will you?
bull testicles. Bull testicles.
Then eat some... No. Don't eat the bull test.
Drop the attitude, man.
Sorry about my attitude. You should get that, whatever you wanted, Emma.
Spit on me.
Hey, that's too far though.
Gooner.
Gooner. All right. So, you cannot judge true, false, or how to improve, and therefore relate that back to the key idea. What is it about beliefs that we care about? Being able to free ourselves from a limiting belief. You cannot judge and you cannot reject a belief. Meaning you are fucked. Stuck, I should say. I shouldn't swear.
Oh man, that lady's certainly saying bad words.
Well, I'm not a lady, but I get what you mean. Cannot judge and you cannot reject. Beliefs, and this one in particular, but beliefs themselves, mean you cannot make judgments, making you a slave or an NPC or a zombie. You cannot reject. So you've got the zombie virus and you can't get rid of it. You're stuck. That shows us how, or the division, the how part. How beliefs are the cause of human problems. Can't judge good and bad, right and wrong, true and false, politician, actor, genocidal fascist, religious leader. Can't judge, and you shouldn't. It's impolite. And you cannot reject. You stay Christian your whole life, you stay MAGA your whole life, you stay racist your whole life, you stay ignorant and stuck. So we're using these obvious examples of people bound by false, harmful beliefs. But your idea of self, your patterns, you wouldn't be here if you didn't have some false idea of self to address. You wouldn't be alive in time if that false idea of self wasn't manifesting in your problems and dramas. It's for all of us. Literally, it's the purpose. So we also use this one to demonstrate the idea of hyparxis. That is, the highest level of one level becomes the beginning of the next. So the conclusion from there, we start with as the definition of the next level. So that applies to, in this particular example that we're doing here, we're doing dialectics within each of the dialectical categories. So mega super dialectic, like an ultrathon, ultra transformathon, megadon, something. But yeah, you can do a dialectic. Definition, demonstration, division, conclusion. That conclusion means you ended up, because it's other back to self, with a higher definition than you started from. That higher definition can begin a new dialectic. Use that as a definition of your next dialectic, so it can improve. That's the idea of hyparxis. And also is what we're utilizing in this very game. Of all of the books that we could be reading, we are reading the best. The one that demonstrates the most important belief to address and demonstrates the highest functioning as human beings. So of all human activities, along with dream analysis, we're doing the highest. You could say this is the realm of ignorance or the physical realm. So within the realm of ignorance and the physical realm, or the realm of appearances, either one, we are doing the best, which is the thing that elevates us to the realm of mind realm, or being, or wisdom, or reality, and not appearances. That's the idea of hyparxis. Of all of the things we could be doing, of all of the people we could be talking to, we're talking to the best and doing the best. That's the idea of hyparxis. And that is also within the dialectic. So we take this conclusion, cannot judge and you cannot reject, as the beginning definition of the conclusion step. So again, definition, demonstration, division, conclusion, and each one we are demonstrating different dialectics. This dialectic is to demonstrate how the dialectic applies to human beings, making it meaningful. Because the beliefs that we are carrying, or our definition, our belief-based definition of ourself and reality, is what we're after, what we seek in our good relationships, ideal relationships, either in our reading to get the true definition of the self, or in our midwifery reflections to surface the false definition of the self, to dissolve our problems. True psychotherapy. True psychotherapy is the dialectic. True spirituality is the dialectic. Why? Because dreams give you the states that spiritual people want, but also engages in that reflection with understanding that's necessary in the proper spiritual tradition. It's not just experience, and it's not just reason. It's both. And dreams give you that, most appropriate to where you're at. Dream analysis gives you the ideal conditions for remembering or re-experiencing those states in the most safe environment for reflection. It's the model, therefore, of spiritual yoga. So, true reading is the dialectic. True relationships, dialectic. True spirituality, dialectic. It's dialectic all the way up, baby. So, as we explore our dreams or our problems or our drama or the nature of reality, we're after that definition. That definition, the underlying causal belief or true idea about self and reality, manifests in either our, if it's belief, our negative states of mind, or our ideal states of mind in the logos. That state of mind allows us to function in certain roles or play out certain dramas, and based on whether or not it's a positive or negative, leads to success or failures. So when we explore our problems or our dreams, do we reach a success or failure? Which means we can go back to over here and say, hey, you're in a relationship and your functioning was personal attacks with your friend or partner or whoever. Oh, that's evidence that there is a fundamental belief functioning. I'm not going to be an idiot and follow that drama out because it's boring. I know where it ends. It ends in the same states of mind that I grew up with. It ends with the same self-fulfilling prophecy of all beliefs. That's stupid. What I am going to do is realize that fighting or competition or logos attacks or personal attacks or any sabotage or block or distraction from dialectic or moving the goalpost with evidence is simply a failure. Meaning, we can have fun exploring the role that I was playing that led to that. So how is Harry, so in the text, how is Harry relating to Joseph? How is he relating to Aaliyah? How is he relating to the dialectic? Any more that you want to add? What state of mind was I in? The functioning, and what must be the definition of the belief behind that I'm holding on to and identifying with. But notice, we talked about the ideal spiritual yoga or method being this as well, meaning the peak experiences that we have in our dreams or waking life experiences, we reflect on to find what must be its cause, so we don't get stuck with just experience and then write a book and claim to be a guru of this or that. How do we go beyond to understand the self? Or purify any false image of the self that's inconsistent with these true peak experience? So this dialectic was one that demonstrates how the dialectic is used within human drama. Because we took that definition from the previous stage. You cannot judge upon truth and you cannot reject what is false, shown to be false. How does that demonstrate in Harry's state of mind? And sometimes it's Aaliyah describing what Harry's like to live with, or what he's like as a person, or what you can infer from judging, you can judge how he's acting in the book. Division, how does that functioning play in his drama or roles? How is he relating from that state of mind to Joseph, Aaliyah, the dialectic? And in the text, what was the synthesis? Therefore, As a result of this functioning, as a result of this state of mind, and as a result of not being able to judge truth or reject what is false, all you are left with is your own personal view that can't judge truth and can only say what seems so. Which means you can't change your belief based on reason and evidence. So this is, not only is it a conclusion to this dialectic, it's a conclusion to all of those stages we've followed. So the absurdities by definition, and the absurdities, catastrophes, and irrationality and lack of principles and circular logic. You can't relate to evidence and reason. You can't prove anything true, false, surpass and prove. You cannot judge and reject. As a result of all that, we can conclude all you can say is something seems so. You can't relate to truth in any way. So anyone who is functioning out of belief cannot make truth statements. All they can say is, it seems so to me. And because belief functions in this self-protecting way, it's all relative in particular, but all beliefs that you hold on to or you function with, because in order to remove your beliefs, you have to use understanding. That's why the dialectic is the purpose of life. If you are operating out of belief, you can't remove those beliefs because it has that self-fulfilling and self-protecting mechanism. So anyone who is functioning out of belief, that includes capitalists who believe they should have the money, conservatives who believe that they know what is good, religious people who believe in that or this or that religion, parents who believe they know they are the king priest of the house, or any other such belief, like this cultural most common belief, it's all relative, you're stuck. You can't believe your way out of belief. There's a quote from Einstein, you can't solve a problem from the same state of mind that caused it. Quote from Einstein. Meaning, if you are operating out of belief, you should never, ever, ever be in charge of anything, especially your own soul or relationships. So soul is what's most meaningful to you, and relationships, how you relate to the most meaningful person or people in your lives. And then ultimately our society. Because if we allow belief to rule, Armageddon, extinction, destruction of our planet. Very easy to see. Anyone operating from belief won't see it. They'll push the, hey, global warming isn't real. Hey, capitalism isn't unsustainable. And slavery with extra steps. Hey, conservatism isn't fascism. Hey, religion isn't fascism. Because evidence, go away. Because reason, shut up. Because we can't judge what's true, what's false, and prove and reject. Because of this state of mind that I'm in. If anyone challenges my belief, I get indignant. And I fight. Moronic, savage, fascist for the very thing that causes my own problems, says a believer. Which means you're trapped. You cannot judge truth out of belief. You cannot reject what's false. Let's make some space. Woof, big conclusion here. Cannot judge truth. All it is a personal view. There's a synthesis from all of our dialectic we've done. The personal view only. You cannot judge truth. Cannot remove what's false, so you can't solve problems. You can only claim something you can only claim something seems seems so you can only just express your level of problem you're in. So that would be the ideal way of using belief. To express, oh, it seems to be this way. That means nothing about true or false. We have to then use what seems true to me and apply dialectic to it. That's why when friend came into chat today, I tried to ask questions and see if he was intelligent and open enough to answering questions, and he wasn't. Sure, his beliefs are garbage. Doesn't matter. It's good that he expressed them, because when you're operating at a belief, all you can say is, this seems to be true for me. That's all you can say. But you're supposed to say it, because that seeming stuff becomes the object of dialectic, because dialectic allows you to judge what's true and remove what's false. So you can do it. So equally for every part of this dialectic, I'm encouraging you to do your own on understanding. Flip everything here and you've got a fantastic dialectic on understanding. So what seems so is great, then you apply the dialectic to it. When you want to be a vet, you go in and you say, well, it seems to me that cats are girls and dogs are boys. And they get married. That's where puppies and kittens come from. When they're girls, they're kittens, and when they're boys, they're dogs. Now, it's important you say to your teacher, this is what it seems. It's even more important that just because it seems so doesn't make it true. That's why you're there. And there's that very famous case a month or so ago, where some really, really brain-rotted Christian fascist child from a Christian fascist parent went into a psychology class, didn't do any work, didn't follow any of the structure of understanding, and reframed the question about psychology in terms of her religious beliefs about gay people. God says gays are bad. That wasn't the fucking essay question, you idiot. So she failed, obviously. But then the conservatives championed her, put her on Fox News and said, see, we are the victims. We should be able to use our beliefs to do sexist and racist and homophobic stuff. We don't have to have expertise. University is bad for wanting us to use reason and evidence. Demonstrating the injustice of belief and belief-based groups like conservatism. So it's good that you say it seems so, but then the teacher is supposed to say, great. Now, there's two things we have to do. Find out why you believe cats are girls and dogs are boys, so we can remove it, because you can't be a vet. You don't get the qualification. This religious person says, I should have a qualification without understanding. Bullshit. It's not why you pay money to go to school. To remove the false things that's inconsistent from the expertise, and then learn the truth about where cats and dogs come from, so you can be an actual vet. Do you only understand what seems so, and you cannot, we'll use cannot instead of can't, makes it sound more fancy. Cannot judge truth. You cannot make any truth claims. Which is called prejudice. So to operate out of belief means you cannot judge truth, you cannot remove what's false, you are therefore opposing evidence and reason. All you can say is it seems so, called prejudice. Isn't it interesting? We recognize prejudice as a bad, sexist belief, racist beliefs. Isn't it wild that operating out of belief itself is prejudice? Which is why we're distinguishing axiomatic beliefs to believe that A equals B, C equals B, then therefore C equals A as well. That's a kind of belief, but it's not a belief that rules you. It's a openness to understanding because this is an understandable principle in philosophy, to play the game of learning. So you need this to do basic science and reasoning and math. But after you complete, or as you complete science and math, you realize, hang on a second, the hyparxis, the principle of congruence that's required as a higher causal principle for math and science, that I was open to kind of trust through understanding or be open to using through understanding, is the beginning of philosophy, where we understand self, other, one, many, whole, part, all. Same, different, all. Next one, like and unlike. Principle of likeness or congruence that participates in sameness. So in other words, you're being ruled by truth and understanding, and you will, if you stay in the game, get there. You're not being ruled by belief, and you're not operating out of belief. So while belief is based on experiences and perception and opinions of the physical and appearance of the physical world, axioms are about the realm of self and mind. So it's not technically belief. Axiomatic use, we could call it. Now, the same thing for philosophy. You wouldn't be interested in this unless you think wisdom is attainable. And potentially, I'm open to the idea that wisdom is attainable. I'm not going to believe it. I'm open to it to play the game. Problems are solvable. So as a result of operating out of prejudice, you end up in fighting or conflict with reason and evidence and those demonstrating reason and evidence. As we saw, the inevitable conclusion of this dialectic here, you end up fighting because you're in conflict with reason and evidence and all those who demonstrate it. So in conflict with you end up as a prejudice in conflict with your own goodness. What do we say? Goodness. Truth, as we got up here. So goodness, or make it benefit. Your own benefit. Which is what we desire. One desires. Truth or truth of reality one seeks. Reality and self, of course. The true self. It's the truth of reality. So again, truth is the descriptor, its cause, the true. So we could say in conflict with truth of reality and the true, which of course describes the self, true self. One seeks. So any activity we engage in is because we seek the truth of reality. And the true self. Or we think this activity will provide us the conditions, make us good enough, make us capable to then go on and seek. That's what Aliyah is saying. Hey, all of this belief-based or it's all relative talk, leaves me wanting something meaningful. This is boring. It bores me. It's not meaningful. Yesterday, I think we talked about entertainment media. Boring. Doesn't help us reach the truth of reality or the true self. It just keeps us prejudiced in beliefs, because that's how we are manipulated and scammed by the most ignorant and sadistic of our species, under belief-based groups. So we're opposed to the truth that we seek. We want to know the truth of self. We want to know the truth of reality, which brings a goodness, benefit, and pleasure as well. Higher kind of pleasure than physical pleasure, of course. And the oneness of understanding. We want we seek and desire, which is of course the virtue of temperance, to desire and seek reasoning, or the good of reasoning. We'll add including, seeing as we've got oneself. Okay, that's too much extra. So, belief results in a prejudice and conflict with your own goodness and benefit you desire, the truth of reality and the true self you seek, and your oneness of understanding you seek and desire. Which is called the abandonment of the rational and intelligible. Therefore, our ultimate conclusion as a result of this mega super ultimate dialectic if belief does all those things we mentioned, ends in a prejudice that cannot judge what's true or improve or remove what's false, functioning in opposition to our own desire, seeking, and we seek the truth, we desire the good. What do we do with reasoning? Kind of both. Was there a word for both seeking and desiring? It's the highest motivation. I'll say want, but also need. We need something more better than want. Understanding we ultimately want. This we all want. Turn it from a personal preference into a universal. Oneness of understand. We all want to understand ourself and reality. So belief is the abandonment of the rational and intelligible. In conflict, what's that called? Well, so the ultimate conclusion would therefore be bigger? Not too thick. Therefore, conflict or war on the rational and intelligible, which is mind. No, there's already a lot there. Like, yes, it's a conflict against the rational, intelligible, but also truth, also judgments, also purification. It's all of those things, so we won't list them all out again. Another way of saying a prejudice is the conflict against your own benefit, truth, understanding. Because it's a war on the rational, a conflict with the rational, we can therefore understand the nature of human problems, that belief or prejudice is the cause of human problems, which is war on mind. So, we are recognizing a war on mind. Beliefs opposing understanding. Because that's how we participate in the intelligible. So that's the nature of the human condition. The human condition is a war on the mind caused by beliefs, which are essentially prejudices if you function from belief. So beliefs aren't neutral and, oh, everyone's beliefs are fine, it doesn't do anything bad. Bollocks, it is the cause of all bad, even if it takes a couple of steps to see it. Your regular Christian belief that women are less than men, does that suck? But she doesn't hurt anyone. What about her kids? What about herself? That counts. What about the call to arms that Trump will issue her or her children? What about her soul? What about her reincarnation? What about her neglecting her purpose? What about the dreams that she faces conflict from because she's loyal to the cause of her problems? So many areas. What about the negative death that she'll have? What about the negative reincarnation she'll have? This whole idea, everyone's entitled to their own opinion or everything is relative to beliefs that don't judge, is the cause of human problems. Let's say all, because it's at the heart of all. The war on the mind. So, overcome the marketing campaign from human ignorance and injustice through the dialectic, which we can see why it's the thing that believers fight back against the most. Human condition, beliefs opposing understanding. And the dialectic. The activity of understanding, the art of understanding. So, therefore, our conclusion leads us to the purpose and meaning of life, dialectic and understanding, the understanding of the root cause and nature of all human problems, belief, and the nature of the human condition, the war on mind. Hooray! All of this comes from learning to read the book. So it's not a personal, none of this is a personal belief, it comes from the book. And notice all of the ideas we used were not from the physical world of appearances, although we could demonstrate it in the world of appearances by looking at how Harry relates to his girlfriend, the dialectic and the dialectician. So it relates to the most important relationship in his life personally and the most important relationship of all human lives, the dialectic relationship. But that's just the demonstration part. By definition, we've understood this in principle. So this will apply to any human species or any intelligent species who have evolved to the level we are currently at, and any time, in any galaxy, in any reincarnation you find yourself on, and giving you the first mini dialectic, or the Voltron of dialectics, the head part, the red Voltron guy. Is he the red guy? I can't remember. How you can test. Does it relate to universal principles, or is it hypocritical contradictions? Is it circular logic to justify it? Does it lead to absurdities if you try it? Is it able to predict and anticipate the future, Or does it lead to, therefore, ignorance that leads to danger or catastrophe? So you can use that to explore ideas and have fun, make jokes. We saw how it relates to evidence and reason, to the functioning. So to do this, we're taking evidence and reason for granted to think. But how does it relate to thinking itself? Opposes them, even violently. Inevitably, violently opposing evidence and reason itself, understanding itself. What's the result of that? How does it relate to true, false, or both? Can't judge the true, can't remove what's false, can't improve or develop, which is both. Therefore, you can't even judge anything or reject anything. So no improvement or perfection and no purification. You are blocked from the very two things that we are here to do. And we demonstrated the actual truth would be reading, midwifery, dream analysis, and sharing. So there would be our true, false, both, and the conclusion or consequence. We showed in this dialectic how we can use all of these things to see how it affects a person, or a person in a relationship, conflict, drama, dream, by how it relates to your state of mind. So how that fundamental belief as the root cause, not only of all human problems, but the root cause of everything you experience, because that underlying false belief that you're operating from and identified with about self and reality, and self, reality, and understanding, the big three, causes your state of mind. That's your feelings. So yes, it does affect you because you feel stuff, and it sucks to feel bad things and it's good to feel good things. Well, yeah, actually good things. It affects how your entire life, not just your physical life, but all of your thoughts, your daydreams, your distractions, your fantasies, your tangents, your dreams. Everything you experience is a consequence of the role you play within a state of mind caused by this root belief or understanding. Those are the two. You're either ruled by the dialectic following the logos, or you're ruled by belief. That's kind of it. Even when you have higher experiences of the mind, or the penultimate enlightenment experience, or the self, the ultimate, that's where you can develop the self logos or the logos of Usia. In other words, even with these peak enlightenment experiences, you're further perfecting to be ruled by the logos, which is understanding. That's why philodianoia is higher than philosophy, because philosophy means love of wisdom. And wisdom is the name given for mind. Whoops. That peak experience, or the penultimate, mind. You can even develop understanding when you reach the higher level, the self, the one, the true, and the good, making philodianoia the highest art. So therefore, we have a conclusion about the nature of human conflicts, human problems and conflicts. The war on mind, but also we have a conclusion. So again, in every category you can say what is, or what's true, what's false, and what's both. That's what's true about what's false. What's true about what's true is now purpose is to perfect rulership, not by belief within our soul, of the self logos and functioning of the dialectic. Which is called philodianoia. There we go. Philodianoia. There we go. Cool. Right. Really pretty. Like that. Okay, enough artist stuff. They look really pretty when I did it before. Anyway, philodianoia. So, the conclusion of our mega dialectic on simply what we've been reading by taking what we've perceived and putting it within the structure, using the terms from the text. That's why we are supposed to be reading. We've come to a conclusion of the nature of all human problems and conflict caused by belief, which if it's the ruling term and not an object of reflection in a healthy relationship, it's called prejudice. So belief to be ruled by belief is prejudice and the cause of all human problems and conflict. That's the nature of all human problems and conflict. Next level would be saying, therefore, the human condition, or the human condition or drama. So if we were to actually, so this is interesting. What we are doing is diagnosing. So the very thing that prejudice or belief blocks, the ability to diagnose, which is the role of expertise, diagnose the condition that one is in. We are showing, well, we're doing the opposite, aren't we? So this is how we are solving the problems caused by belief with understanding. Therefore, we can make a diagnosis of the human condition. The human condition is the war on mind. That's the nature of the human condition or the human problem we're in, which is a war, which is beliefs opposing the understanding of the dialectic. And our purpose would therefore be to perfect rulership by the self-logos and the functioning of the dialectic. And therefore, what do we say understanding does? Takes the many and brings it into a oneness. That's the role of naming. So we can end up with a final name. Make it a prettier color. What color? This one. No. That's this one. There we go. So in one word, the purpose of our life, in one word, is philodianoia, to perfect the love of understanding, which beliefs oppose, which is why it's a prejudice, and which it's the cause of all human problems. So isn't that interesting? One word describes our purpose and excellence. Human excellence. and our human activity, the activity we should be engaged in. So you're either defending your beliefs in the way that you live and the way that you talk and the way that you relate, all within this dialectic activity, the actual human activity, and excellence. One word, excellence. The philodianoia, love of this kind of understanding, which is our purpose to perfect the rulership of self-logos and functioning of the dialectic. So that's the ruling term within the way that Joe is relating to Aaliyah, the way that Joe is relating to ideas. Harry is demonstrating how you're a dick if you oppose that. So you're either a dick like Harry or you're cool like Joe.
Cool as a cuke.
Cool as a cuke. The human condition is a war on mind caused by beliefs opposing understanding dialectic, and belief as a ruling term within the soul or relationships is prejudice and the cause of all human problems and conflicts, and of course it is, because now we can see why. The beliefs are prejudices and the cause of all human problems and conflict, as they fundamentally oppose our intended human activity and excellence. So that's our mega conclusion as the result of a definition, demonstration, division, conclusion, each of which has their own mini dialectics. And all of this is taken from the first Jesus. Oh, we're at the interlude. Oh, we're at the interlude. Okay, let's finish the interlude, because we're right at the end. I didn't realize we were so close to a break. So all of this is just from the first 32 pages. We've understood the nature of, we've practiced the dialectic, which is our function. We've understood that very practice is our purpose. We've even given a name to our human purpose, or the highest activity and excellence we're here to perfect, philodianoia. We've understood the nature of human problems, and we've understood that beliefs aren't actually all nice and kind and
Gives people morality. Yes, people are too stupid to know the meaning of life, really. We have to give them these bullshit fairy tales that Netanyahu and Trump can exploit, and these preachers can exploit, and tell us that women suck, and women are like cattle, and yes, because they're too stupid.
bull fucking shit. Whenever you patronize anyone by saying, yes, some beliefs are good, you are hurting their soul, and you are being incredibly patronizing. We have what we need to move into understanding. You don't have to tolerate beliefs. In fact, you shouldn't. It's the cause of all problems and conflicts within your relationships, as we see with Harry and Aaliyah, within your relationship to good people, as we see with Harry and Joseph, and your relationship to the very thing you actually want: goodness, truth, unity, benefit, excellence, removing and jettisoning, sacrificing your problems, removing your problems of what's false, and perfecting what's true. All of the things everyone wants is blocked by belief. That's why it's so bad to be patronizing to people and say,
Well, some people need beliefs because they're too stupid.
bull fucking shit. You can take understanding and make fairy tales about understanding for children. Fine. That's true theology. All of this, you can take this whole dialectic, pull out the key ideas, the key principles, and the key functioning, and give them a name. Aphrodite, Apollo, Hermes. Make up your own. Spider-Man, Captain America, or maybe not Captain America, Spider-Man, Batman, Superman. That's true theology. If you think people are too stupid to understand, first of all, you're wrong. But if you think people need a fairy tale as a stepping stone, great. It can't be belief. If it's a belief-based fairy tale, like conservatism and religion, it's the cause of all human problems and conflict, genocide, extinction. If you want a fairy tale for some people, make one. Make one based on truth. That's the point. Like an axiom. the axiom that A equals B and C equals B, therefore C equals A, that you need to do math and to drive a car and stop at a different stop sign, that's not a lie. That's not women are less than men, or you go to hell if you don't give the money to the preacher. It's not a lie. It's a true thing that could be an object of belief in a sense, but it's not to be ruled by belief. It's an object of understanding and knowing it's intelligible that you have to take for granted to play the game. Make better stories, which of course is Philodianoia. We also defined earlier as by reading these texts together in this way, dialectic, not interpretation, doing midwifery on the interpretations that come up, dream analysis, that's the sharing part of it. Make your own stories. And it's not going to be religion, because religion means to be bound by belief, to be bound by prejudice, as we've defined it now, to be bound by the cause of human problems and suffering. By definition, therefore, religion is bad. Always. Not sometimes, always. Even in Gloop Glop Galaxy a million miles away? Yes. Even a million light years away. Even in a million years in the future? Yes. Like Ricky Gervais says to Stephen Colbert on The Late Show. If we destroyed all the religious books, no one's going to reinvent them. That's the difference between science and religion. And even a devout Catholic said, oh, you're right. Doesn't change his mind though, but he's right. Super important. Therefore, a healthy relationship with yourself and with your loved ones is Philodianoia, a love with logos. Love and logos. Necessary to remove your problems, reach your excellence, fulfill your purpose, and reach higher stages of being both in this lifetime and beyond. So, different from Harry. Harry would have just seen this. Oh, I perceived this conversation and now I know it. What we gained is expertise because we turned that perception into understanding, allowing us to predict the future, your future relationship. Who do you pick? If it's not a Philodianoia person, someone who shares a love of understanding, you can predict it. You're going to find someone who resembles the false image, the beliefs, like Aaliyah talked about her parents being like Harry. That's going to be who you're going to date. How's it going to play out? Boring. The same way your parents did and your grandparents did. The same way all your relationships have played out. So the things that you are immediately attracted to as beautiful or real or true or good, hey, maybe don't dictate your relationships based on that. Maybe make sure that there's a shared love of understanding, so that there are no problems, only puzzles. It's not just personal excellence, but a shared ideal that you can reach together. It's not just physical pleasure, but the highest extent of physical pleasure as the hyparxis leading into a deeper pleasure, a deeper level of beauty, beyond even the physical. Philodianoia. Worth it? Worth repeating, worth practicing with your friends over coffee? Cheers. Whoops. Zoom in. A mog. And then we zoom back out to the book. Damn it. Book. Here we go. So, through understanding, we can predict both. We can predict the inevitable disasters that happen in relationships within humanity, within our soul, within our life, within our death, within our reincarnation. We can predict if we go down the belief, prejudice line, but also we can predict our potential excellence if we go down the Philodianoia line. Let's see how the drama will predictably for us play out with Harry at the end of this section. So let's jump to the end of this dialectic that we've just reviewed and made our own, I hope. So Leah's saying, wow, a man who believes in beliefs, or that it's all relative to belief, perception, opinion, he can only judge something as an opinion. He can't deal with the implications of judging it true. What can he judge, says Joseph. Isn't it true that the only thing he can judge is what seems so? True. But not whether or not something is true or false. Right. So he can neither say that he can judge all things, nor, like that's the position, you should be able to judge all things because it's your own perspective. So neither can he say he can judge all things, nor can he believe another's judgment when they reject his position, even though that's the way it may seem to them. Therefore, he cannot believe his own position. So, anyone who's operating out of belief, we can ultimately say you don't even believe your own position. But ultimately, the position of belief means that belief is just as good as understanding. And if I believe something different and I believe you're wrong, you can't believe that, meaning you fall down. You don't even believe your own premise. That's the absurdity within the soul that causes our actual conflict, not the devil. Not the thinking and asking questions is the devil causes your conflict. No. It's the inherent conflict within these absurdities, the absurdity of belief. So he ends up like the man who judges that only the men who agree with him are wise. That's very interesting. But Aaliyah, can it be a theory? Why do you ask? Because theories must be capable of being surpassed by newer theories. If not, it's not a theory. Simply put, a theory should in principle be capable of being disproven. But Harry's position can't be disproven, so it can't be rejected or surpassed by others. Clever! Therefore, we can conclude it's not a theory. It can never be proven true either. So what is it? A personal view, or a position of some sort. That's all. Some sort, you say? What kind of viewpoint? What do you call? See, asking a question to get them to put the name on it. What do you call something that is asserted as true, but cannot either be proven or disproven? Something believed in and insisted upon, even after its inadequacies become visible, and yet it cannot be rejected. A prejudice! Uh-oh, speaking of being able to use understanding to predict what will happen in the future, here is Harry. What? What? You call it a prejudice? Just look at these so-called arguments of Joseph's, and you find prejudice? He's a beta, I'm an alpha. Don't you say that I'm a less valuable man. I eat bull testicles.
Bull testicles. Bull testicles.
Because Joe Rogan told me.
I don't want to eat a monkey.
Look at those so-called arguments of Joseph's and you'll find prejudice. How can you go along with that? I thought you were on my team. He didn't say the team part. He could have. So all of these things, see, that's the thing. By having an understanding of the root cause of states of mind, so the root cause by definition of states of mind, how it demonstrates into its divisions, how it relates to relationships, and its inevitable conclusion, that's understanding, that's expertise. So all of those little funny asides I added in that were very funny and very charming were because we have that dialectic now. We could predict he could have said any one of those things, or he's likely to when they get home or whatever. Also, if you understand a person or a state of being or an idea that relates to this, you can write your own characters. I just pulled from popular culture. This is the sort of person that would likely watch Joe Rogan, who supports Trump and other belief-based idiots, who say the way to excellence isn't philodianoia, but eating a bull testicle.
I'm eating the testicles of this bull, and I'm eating it raw bull balls. This is raw buffalo balls.
That's what he says. That's what's considered, and I'm just, again, pulling popular language. That's how you can have fun. Alpha bro. Don't put me on the cuck chair, they'll say at the time of recording.
She's a moron. She's a bonked on the head individual, BHI.
I coined
They
that.
Right, so he might call her a BHI, a bonked on the head individual.
Hey, whoa, don't, that's a scary voice, man. Don't do that. Hey, my kids watch this.
Apologize for your kids.
It's sad, and I'm sad for you.
I'm sad for them. See, you can write, that's the thing, you could write your own dialogue, maybe even a sequel to this one. Or maybe a modern one. And we said those who want to save belief, hey, create a theology. Populate it with characters who representing Harry and Joseph. And someone caught in the middle, Leah. Share it. Anyway. So he jumps in and says, hey, don't, what, hey, wait, I'm prejudiced, he's prejudiced. I'm not crazy, you're crazy. I'm not crazy, you're crazy. And then Leah says, hang on a second, but it seems right, wink, doesn't it? What's wrong with that? Now she's very clear, she's saying a couple of things. She's saying, hey, it seemed right. And it does. That's the thing. You can believe someone because they reflect your models of authority. Like a Jewish person won't believe someone with a big Pope hat, but he might believe someone with Jewish yarmulke. A girl will go for a guy that looks like her parents, her dad maybe, and vice versa. Well, no, not vice versa. A guy might go no, not vice versa. A guy might go for a girl resembling the appearance or model of truth and beauty and knowing from his mum or parents. Or reasoning can seem true because it's universally true for everyone. That's why it's not conflict. That's why it's not war. That's why it's a win-win-win.
It's a win-win.
Because reason seems true to all those who can follow reason. Now she's saying, what's wrong with that? In other words, two things. What's wrong with her conclusion that belief is prejudice? Or what's wrong with her principle that she's employing to justify it? Because she could say, oh, by reason we've declared it's true. She didn't. She said, oh, it seems true. Now, the reason it seems true is because of reason. But when she's saying, what's wrong with it? She's saying, not just what's wrong with my position, what's wrong with the principle. And if he says there's something wrong with the principle, that it seems right to her, so therefore it's right, then he's arguing against his own position. So she's very intelligent and insightful to be able to use someone's own position, reflect it back to them, and show them the absurdity of it, or put them in a position where to challenge them would be to challenge their own position. Hey, it seemed true to me, so it's true, right? What's wrong with that? So if he has to respond, he has to prove what's wrong with his own position, using the logos of that other person to reflect it back to them, to see either the absurdity of that position or put them in a position where to disagree with the disagreement is to argue against your own position. It's self-defeating. Beliefs are false and self-defeating. That's the beauty of the dialectic. If you fully understand a belief-based position, it will disprove itself. Like this: if it seems true through reason that beliefs are prejudice and bad, then the only way of arguing that is arguing that very principle, if it seems so, it is so, that is used to justify beliefs. Reflecting it back, isn't she brilliant? The answer is yes. Right?
It's awesome and it's gangster.
And gangster, yes. Very good. Emma?
Spit on me.
Ah, Emma.
Gooner bait.
Just gonna bait Emma.
Gooner!
Hey, it seemed true that belief is prejudice. What's wrong with that? What's wrong with it? Well, for one thing, I'd like to go over it again once more. I'll meet with my team of lawyers and we'll get back to the Congress later and never do it. Oh, you asked me a question about political corruption. I'll get back to you some other time. Logical arguments are deceptive, attacking reason itself. You ought to know that. Belittling. See, this is the whole belief-based bullshit of you're less than the authority. Belief means you're less than the authority figure. If you're not good enough to understand it yourself, you have to accept a position below the authority figure. So fascists, dictators, scam artists, con artists, they try and belittle you. Punishment, you're a bad child. You should know that. That's why people clip chimp. They want to find examples of someone being wrong so they can justify the oppressive bullshit of belief that their parents played out in them, because that's their zombie-like motivation, because beliefs have us. We don't have beliefs. It's bullshit, it's tyrannical, it hurts everyone, but we think it's good. That's the nature of human conflicts, the war on mind, fought by beliefs based on the appearance, which is behind beliefs. So, you ought to know that. What a dick thing to say to someone. You ought to know. Why? Because you said it, you idiot. You either do understand it and you can share it, or you don't understand it and you'll be benefited by understanding. And she's someone who seems to be open to understanding. What kind of a dick would treat such a brilliant woman like that in that way? Getting mad at Harry here. Would you like to go over it again? Says Aaliyah, carefully, step by step. She's doing the meaning of life. She's fulfilling her highest human activity and excellence. Want to go over it step by step? That's called philodianoia, the dialectic. Harry's response, predictably for us, sometime. Sometime, sure. And later on maybe. I'm very busy today. I've got to do push-ups and eat my bull testicles.
Bull testicles. Bull testicles.
That's right.
Bull testicles. Bull.
Yes. That's right. Sometime, Aaliyah says. But you wouldn't be judging the way it seems then. If you're going over it carefully step by step, you wouldn't be judging the way it seems. So you either agree with your position is wrong, or you're willing to go over it step by step, which is not judging by seeming, which again is disproving your position. Either way, your position falls down. Belief. Dissipated for Miss Aaliyah. Let's see if Harry, someone who defending beliefs, identified belief, let's see if it's helped his soul as much as it helped Aaliyah's. Oh, aren't you the clever one? As though being intelligent isn't brilliant, but bad. Are you getting what you came for, dear Aaliyah? See, this is the drama. Likely imitating the exact same thing his dad said to his mum. because that's what relationships are about if it's not Philodianoia. Creating, because he's being a dick. He's projecting her intentions. Didn't ask her, was that what you came here for? Was that what you're interested in? He didn't even understand, so he's misrepresenting what she's interested in truth as something else, not saying it, which is a dick move, and misrepresenting her intentions. He's fabricating entire belief-based religious stories about her intention, which dehumanizes her and vilifies her. So in his mind, he's justified in being a dick and fighting the bad person. Whereas she's going to play into that role because she is likely going to be pissed that he completely lied about her. Just like the racist person saying, hey, you're a black person, you're bad, you're a black person, you're bad, over and over and over again, until he finally punches him and says, see? Like the Jews. We're going to torture the Palestinians to death over decades, and when they finally fight back, see? Barbaric. They're fighting against our oppression and injustice. So we should genocide them. Hooray! Same thing. Always the same. Rejection of belief to antagonize and to create a drama that is about conflict and not dialectic. And by the way, if they're together and Aaliyah hasn't done the midwifery and dream analysis on her own false beliefs, she might feel like it's real and get pissed because of the anger that she's carrying from childhood against her parents playing the same game on her. It's a trap, it's a bait, which draws people together in relationships that aren't logos-based. Love and understanding. So, Harry's being a right dick, insulting her. So the inevitable war on mind, the understanding the cause of all problems and conflicts, the inevitable fighting that we could predict ourselves with expertise because we have understanding now. Harry, you're a clever one. Are you getting what you came for? And likely someone else who may have expertise and understanding jumps in at just the right time. Mr. Euripides. Coffee, anyone? You have a good sense of timing, Euripides. Don't believe it, says angry Harry. He's been listening in on the whole thing and just waited for a conclusion so he could pour the coffee, right? And just what did you get out of our little conversation? I hear a lot of talk around here, and you can tell that most of it is empty talk. So when there is real talk, you can spot it right away. So, when you have some time, I'd like to hear what you have been discussing tonight. And my brother Dimitri would want to be counted in too. You mean me? Says Aaliyah. I'd be pleased to hear your recollection. Or even that one of your friends here. Or even that of one of your friends here. Maybe sometime later. It sounds like he would have liked to have tuned into our entire episode today. I didn't realize this was on the heading, and it's the interlude, so it's a nice place to take a break. Because that's what we've been doing. We've been recollecting according to our intended purpose, the dialectic, practicing a love of understanding, Philodianoia, recollecting, collecting, and organizing a recollection of this entire dialectic that's gone on. So, maybe if you know Euripides, send him an email, send him a link to the YouTube site, because I post all of these videos on YouTube after we record them live on Twitch. If you want to join in the discussion live, you can follow along on Twitch and enter the chat room. If you want to a notification when we go live, you can join the Discord. There's even a link to the text below. you want to donate to the channel and buy me a coffee, there is a link below for that as well. How was it today? Was it fun going through the dialectic? Was it fun pushing the implications of what we've seen to come to a conclusion? Even though we've come to a conclusion through reason about the nature of all human problems, conflicts, the nature of the human condition, a war on mind fought by beliefs over understanding, the nature of our human purpose to perfect our rulership by the self-logos called the dialectic, and our singular human activity, one word to unify it all, Philodianoia, even though that may have seemed true to you, or through reason and reflection, does it stick? Do you still feel like something else is true? Surely not all beliefs are prejudice. Surely not all my beliefs are, surely not my beliefs are prejudice. So a way of interpreting it, or taking a piece of what we've seen, but saving your beliefs. Some, but not all. Others, but not mine. Different, but not the ones that are the same as mine. One that are unlike mine, but not like mine. These are all ways of interpreting or taking a piece and not the whole. In which case, you might be wanting to pay attention to the dreams you have. If you've identified a conflict between what we have seen in understanding and dialectic, you're noticing a conflict between that and what you believe. Congratulations. You've brought forth a prejudice. That's the cause of all of your problems and conflicts. You are entering into the true nature of the human game, winning the war on mind. So, while you might recognize that what we have seen in understanding and dialectic is against what you believe, the next question, if you're a rational person, is, well, how do I surface my own personal beliefs that oppose reason and understanding and fulfill my purpose and highest function and excellence? In other words, how do I get the specifics about my own personal beliefs that I don't know I have, but am a slave to them? Because beliefs don't, that's the theme of today. You don't have beliefs, they have you. So how do I surface my own specific ones and get the information to how to purify those? Dreams. So all through this series, I've been encouraging people to learn to remember and record and recollect their dreams. So this idea of recollecting, we've seen today as well. So the way that you recollect your dreams would be any one of those kinds of dialectics we've been understanding and demonstrating today. See if you can apply any of them to your dreams to unlock the key. It's like a video game. You're not given the answer, you're given a puzzle. The dialectics that we've been exploring today are the potential keys you can use. Try all of them. Try one of them. Even if you get a little bit of insight, isn't that better than none? And if you have this specific problem or question, carry it with you all day and as you go to sleep. The problem of, hey, while we've demonstrated this through understanding and dialectic, that understanding and dialectic is the purpose, our highest activity and meaning of life for human beings, it doesn't feel true. I still feel like these other activities I do are more meaningful. Great. That's the conflict. Like we said, a good relationship doesn't look at a problem and said, therefore we should fight. It's, oh, therefore we should reflect with understanding. And the greatest guide to your personal issues and problems is your dream maker. So write your problem down. Write down any clues you have. What does it feel like when you don't believe it? What words come up? Is there a voice? Does it sound like someone you know? Is there a history? Has it happened yesterday? Last week? When you were 4? When you were 5? When you were 6? When you first started school? That state of mind, does it have a history? Any clues about any of that, take it as a question, write it down somewhere, talk to someone about it, and then your dreams may reflect back to you hints, clues, direction about that puzzle, about your reading. So there's about your puzzle or what's false, about your reading or what's true, giving you both. The very thing belief can't do, your dreams are demonstrating potentially, you have to see for yourself, the opposite of Harry, the ideal. Expertise. So, I hope you've been recording them into audio and transcribing them, even waking up during the night if you want to get them even more accurate. Because when you have dreams within 90-minute intervals, thereabouts, 4 or 5 a night, transcribing them, again, you can use well, not AI, but automated transcriptions. Make sure they're accurate though. And any one of these ways that, as Euripides says, I'd love to hear you recollect it, you won't be able to recollect it properly unless you've organized it into your own understanding. If you've made these dialectics your own, you will be able to recollect it with someone like Euripides or someone you care about. Equally so, test it on your dreams. Fun, worthwhile, meaningful, and we've reached the end of part 1. Exciting. If we've seen so much about so much meaningful stuff, I wonder what's on the horizon for us in part 2. Only one way to find out. Bring that curiosity and wonder back with you next time as we continue to read. Hope you're having fun. Hope your dreams are interesting. And I hope to see you in the next one. Thanks for joining me. Donate to the channel. It works. And I'll see you in the next one.